What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Gio Garcia. Today's Monday, June 21st. A couple days after the LA Galaxy had a tough loss against the Seattle Sounders, but it was a fun time going to the game full capacity. We're gonna talk all about that, but I want to introduce my guests. We got back again. We got Total Galaxy. And for the first time ever, we got Everything Galaxy. He runs, Everything Galaxy on social media, on Instagram. How you guys doing, Alex?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little hot here, but hey, at least I do look nice for the show, so I'm glad about that.
You're looking smooth. Micah, how you doing, man? You do a great job on Instagram covering the
Yeah, a
Galaxy.
little tired, a little tired. School just got out, so
Yeah,
we're working on the assignments.
I want people to get to know you a little bit. Tell us, because I know you're not based in LA. You're based in Atlanta. Tell us why your love for LA Galaxy started and why you're not an Atlanta United fan.
So I don't know, I guess I'll just get into my story. In like 2012, I got into watching soccer in general. So usually my dad would have on the Premier League, and then immediately what would happen is the big time games. So on NBC, they'd usually have like Portland versus like Galaxy. That was like one of my first games I watched. And then I just kind of like fell in love with like the stars. Carried through the Robbie Keane, Jossie Zardes, those terrible 2017 years. And then I went to my first LA Galaxy game on the road in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium that they have in Atlanta. And really got to see the players for the first time. I got like Chris Pontius's signature. I don't know how I did that. He just came up from the bench, and I got his signature. That was like when my love started. I started the Galaxy account, everything LA Galaxy that you see, and really it just took off from there. So just love this team, love communicating with everyone, whether it's social media accounts, whether it's fans, whether it's everyone. Just love the community.
That's amazing. And tell me a little bit more, like why you stuck with why you haven't switched over to Atlanta United.
Well, if you guys haven't heard, there's Atlanta United fans, and they're just a pain in the butt. They're awful. But I just love this team, and whenever I comment on a post, I truly love this team. I fell in love with it. I love the fans, and I'll tell you that there's no other MLS team in the world that really just cares as much as these fans. And just seeing that from afar, from on TV, the excitement that the games bring, that everyone has, it just inspires me to continue loving this team.
That's amazing to hear. So who's been your favorite player throughout the years for the LA Galaxy?
I'm a big Alessandrini fan. Of course, for my club, I play right winger, so I love just his personality, his moveset, his abilities on the field. So I love Alessandrini. Wish he could come back right now.
Tell me, how old are you? Because I know we got a young crew, which is good. It makes me feel a little old. But how old are you?
I'm 18. I just graduated high school a couple weeks ago.
Congrats. That's amazing. Alex, you're also a pretty young guy. You're looking spiffy. Tell us why y'all dressed up. I know it's a live show, but tell me why you're all dressed up.
Just dressed to impress, and I just got back, and I just wanted to look nice, as well. Just add on the tie, just look nice. Love to talk soccer with anybody, and I'll do it looking kind of classy-esque.
Hey, look, you're outdoing us here. I wasn't expecting the tie, but I love the commitment. You're looking good, man.
I'm a very committed man.
You are. You very are. So another thing, when I got to go to the Galaxy game right this Saturday, it was amazing. It was different atmosphere. I got there like around 4:30. The game was at 6, and I got there. I feel like I got there late because everything was already going on. They had the rapper Merce. He was rapping. He was doing his thing. The tailgate was amazing. I got to talk to a couple fans, experience a little bit of the tailgate. But it just to me it like brought back memories. I was like, wow, like it clicked to me. I was like, man, I remember how this used to be, because as soon as I pulled up into the parking lot, it was already packed, and I was like, dang, there's so many people here. Alex, around what time did you get to the stadium?
Due to traffic, I got there kind of late. I got there I got into the stadium around like the 6 minute mark. I saw Daniel Stairs get carried off the field, and him limping. I didn't know what was going on, so it was a whole shock for me. But yeah, it was incredible. I went to a game when they played against Austin at a limited capacity, and then comparing that to this past weekend was just amazing. All the fans there, they're being loud as well, and you felt like you were late. I was actually late, so it was a crazy experience, and I wish I could have been there a bit longer, a bit earlier, just walk around and talk to some more people, but unfortunately I couldn't. But overall, I enjoyed coming back there, and it felt so good. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the win, but aside from that, I loved coming back to the stadium at full capacity.
Yeah, no, the thing about that being back at full capacity, it was just amazing. Just chatting with everybody and seeing everybody just so happy to be back, back at a Galaxy game and interacting. I just want to get quickly in the chat. G-Man, he says, hi, Gio, Alex, and Micah. Isaiah says, LA Galaxy like my TikToks.
LA
And
Galaxy
G-Man,
have a good TikTok account.
yeah, they
do.
do.
Probably
And
one
they
of the
say,
best
what?
pro sports TikToks account everywhere. I see their comments almost on every other TikTok that appears on my For You page. It was just pretty funny, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and I know the people running the account. So that, I mean, they do a really good job with the TikToks. Micah, do you got a TikTok? I think we got you on mute. I don't know. Is your microphone turned off? The AirPods died.
I think that might have been the case.
I think your earpods might have died. I don't know.
Or connected to something else,
Or connected to something else. Well, while you figure that out, Micah, we'll let you. There you go. We can hear you.
Took me long enough.
So what's up, dude? You got a TikTok?
No, I don't have a TikTok. I sometimes drop in on the comments, but I don't do any content on TikTok.
No, but like the thing I like about, obviously you guys are obviously so young, but you guys do a great job posting about the Galaxy information, right? The news, the stats, and everything got going on. Micah, like obviously, how did you watch this game? Obviously, you weren't at the tailgates or anything, but how do you prepare yourself for like an LA Galaxy game?
Well, so all my experience comes on at home. It's often just me sitting on my couch, usually with my family sometimes. But, I just really usually have my MacBook next to me, watching the game, just chilling, having a good time. I don't know. There's not really preparation for me to do.
You don't got a Capri Sun just waiting for you, ice cold Capri Sun. You got the pizza coming out of the oven.
Sometimes we need it. But,
so have you been to the Dignity Health Sports Park Stadium?
No, I have not yet, but I'm gonna do that in the future. I'm gonna get there.
Well, whenever you decide to come out to West Coast, you definitely got to go. Let us and the rest of Galaxy Nation know when you're coming out. Mm-hmm. Alex, let's talk about a little bit about the pregame festivities. You didn't get to see most of it, but like I feel like the Galaxy did a great job promoting this. Like
from all the stuff I saw from people posting, right? ACB, LA Riot Squad, they were posting all that stuff on their Instagrams and obviously promoting it. Merz put out a performance and it looked pretty packed in that area as well. It's crazy to think that was during the pandemic. It's just like, whoa, there's a lot of people there, and it looks really awesome as well. And then just in general, I just got a good feeling going in there. Like I said, unfortunately, I couldn't get there on time, which really sucks. But aside from that, it was fun all the way around. From what I can tell, people seem to really enjoy the time that they had before the match.
Yeah, and I think the only thing to me that was interesting. It was like they did such a great job promoting everything that like when we're at the stadium, it felt like I think they sold out 23,000. I thought which is a big number, but I just felt like there were some seats were a little spotty. I don't know where you were sitting, but did you see the same thing? of the season?
Yeah, I did actually. It was crazy because I went to the home opener last year, and I think that was a sold out game, if I'm correct, against the Vancouver Whitecaps. That first game of the 2020 season. This year, obviously, the pandemic is obviously affecting everybody's wallet, in some certain capacity. So, I mean, I really wasn't expecting it to be sold out, but I'm surprised 23,000 people did go in there, and I'm just glad that they all came. Unfortunately, stadium wasn't packed, but people had their circumstances going on in the background, and that's something you can't really control.
Yeah, I was thinking that, or also maybe the ticket prices were a little too high. Like because I was expecting it be like a full on packed house. And I was a little surprised. Some of the seats were a little spotty because of all the work that went into promoting this. But it may be a little bit of both. It may be that people, one, are not ready to come back to a full stadium, or two, they're not ready to spend all that money just yet when they got other things going on, and they can watch it from the comfort of their home. But it was a great one. I mean, you had Chicharito, you had Raul Ruiz, you had the Sounders leading up to that. So I want to get into let's talk about let's talk about the game, but let's talk about the lineup. Greg Vanney essentially went with the 4-4-2. He put Kevin Cabral up there with Chicharito. He had Victor Vasquez out on the left, Sasha Klesman in the middle, paired up with Leggett, and then Efrain Alvarez. And then the back four, you had the usual Villafana, Stairs, and Koulibaly got his first start. Araujo, and obviously Jonathan Bond in goal. Micah, what was your thoughts on this lineup and what you saw from Greg Vanney?
Yeah, and I don't know your guys' thoughts on this, but one name that really just sticks out to me whenever I see this is Efrain Alvarez, because it's always a mystery. Where will he play? Will he be that right mid? Will he be that center attacking midfielder? So looking at this lineup, I was surprised that Grancia was not on the field and there was Efrain Alvarez instead. That was a question mark. I like that Koulibaly got a start. Also like that Cabral's playing up there with Chicharito. I wish it would have turned out better in the game, but obviously, I like the lineup. I thought the 4-4-2 was effective. But yeah, it was a little questionable sometimes.
Yeah, I think to me it caught me off guard with the 4-4-2 and a couple of the pairing. I mean, they did great. They were the better team the first half. They were the more threatened team. But Alex, give us your thoughts on this formation.
I thought it was really interesting. I think the most interesting facet of it was Victor Vasquez out on the left, because Victor Vasquez isn't the fastest player. He doesn't have that much of a sprint speed. He's obviously on the older side and coming back from an injury. He played really well. I'll give him credit for that. I thought Victor Vasquez was one of the brighter players that played on Saturday. His passing vision, his ability to kind of just slow things down in the midfield and find a pass here and that was really good. But I really thought Samuel Grandier should have started in that position. Maybe have Vasquez, play a bit more centrally and have, maybe pair him next to Sasha Kleshan, or maybe go back to the old formation. But that was one thing that was really interesting to me, and I was really like pondering, like, why is Victor Vasquez here? I know he's come off an injury, and I know he's really experienced, and he shows that he's a really creative midfielder, but I don't think he should be a player starting out on the left midfield. Play him more centrally, play him more as a number 10. And then Mike obviously brought up Efrain Alvarez. It's been a puzzle for him. He's still really young, but on this Galaxy team, he's been a 10. He's played out on the right like he did again in Saturday. So I think there's still a lot of questions left on if Vanny's sold on his lineup so far. I think he likes to experiment a lot against Brian Schmetzer. We saw that in the last game. Back up north in Seattle, you had Julian Araujo playing as a right midfielder, and I thought that was kind of weird. But I hope Vanny goes back to the old formation, because I really think it was solid, and just overall it made the team a lot better and utilized players like Samuel Grandier, who came off the bench that weren't starting in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a lot of great points there, and I think that's the thing that for me what made it so interesting was the pairing. One, the Victor Vasquez on the left hand side, because we saw him tuck in a lot more during the game. I saw him like he wasn't playing the left wing, or the left wing position. He was playing more of what he naturally plays, the center attacking mid, the 10 type of role. And obviously he's paired up. But one thing that I was talking with the Galaxy guy yesterday, and I was on their podcast. they brought up that that the pairing Greg Vanny went with the strong midfield so they could pass. They could really pass the ball. But to you guys' point, I was surprised that Grand Sur wasn't there. And the biggest thing for me was seeing Kevin Cabral paired up with Chicharito up there, because I felt like leading up to this game when they played against when Kevin Cabral played against San Jose Earthquakes, he was so effective on the left wing and beating people on that left wing, beating defenses on the left wing. And for the majority of the part, Kevin Cabral did not show up in this game against the Seattle Sounders. I think he was trying to figure it out with Chicharito. I know Greg Vanny had talked about after the game that, they did a great job during practice. But unfortunately, practice doesn't, you don't practice against the Seattle Sounders, and, you aren't able to do the same things with that. And I think Kevin Cabral, out of all of this, was the one that didn't benefit from this. Michael, what were your thoughts on Kevin Cabral in that first half?
Yeah, Kevin Cabral in that first half, definitely, he didn't get on the ball that much. And I think that he didn't really contribute to the game as much as he should have. But I think he's still adjusting to the physicality of MLS. I think that he got shoved off the ball, I think like 5 times in that game, which might be a sign that Vandy's going to play him at winger, because I don't think he's physical enough. So certainly let me down in the first half. But yeah, it just definitely wasn't effective.
Yeah. Alex, give me your thoughts on Kevin Cabral.
Yeah, so I was really interested like that as well, because I felt like Cabral and Chicharito, while they did do well in practice, I feel like them combining during the game just wasn't there at all. I thought Seattle did really good to shut him off. And Seattle, give them credit, they are a really, really good defensive team. And that's why they're number 1 in the Western Conference. But Cabral and Chicharito, those two strikers, both being played as strikers up front, is not going to work. We saw Cabral and how effective he was against San Jose as a winger. And you kind of also saw flashes of that too in the game against Portland. You saw that his ability to take on the wing back and, make them look silly out there, and the moves he has there, since usually players that play at the wing back aren't really, the strongest, biggest guys compared to the center back of Seattle that he was facing. So that's something Vanny kind of really needs to not experiment with anymore, because obviously in this game it showed Cabral's not going to cut it as that striker pair next to Chicharito. Someone like Ethan Zubac could probably have done a better job, but at least we know now, and the jury, confirms that, Kevin Cabral shouldn't be playing up that striker position, put him back as that winger where he was succeeded and looked like he was going to really score and get on the attacking prowess every time he was playing on that left wing.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? It's like I expected him to be explosive, and this is the second time that I see Greg Vanny try a different lineup, and it's against the Seattle Sounders. And I kind of wonder if he, maybe overthinking it. Maybe the Seattle Sounders already saw what they've been up to, and he wanted to switch up. But to his formation in the first half, most of it worked. The only thing that didn't work was the goal. Was getting the lead in the first half, because it was a tight game. Chicharito hit the crossbar at one time towards the end of the first half, and I thought it was it was working. But I think towards the second half, once Brian Schmitzer got in, he knew exactly what was going on, and he ended up changing things. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the first half and Chicharito. What were your thoughts, Michael, on Chicharito? He did draw that penalty for the LA Galaxy.
Yeah, Chicharito, obviously, he struggled to find his game in the first half, I think, so he had to draw it back in the midfield. And I really enjoyed how he combined with them, and I thought he sped up the attack for the most part. But overall, he just did not have the service to create the chances and score the goals. He had that great cross from Julian Araujo and almost put it away. But certainly did not get the goal that we all wanted him to. So I think he struggled like Cabral. I think the whole team struggled in the first half. So, we need more from him, but I can't be mad at his efforts of dropping into the midfield.
Yeah, Alex, give me your thoughts on what the job Chicharito did in the first half.
I thought it was pretty good. Obviously, when you're playing against like a back three or back five, because that's kind of what Seattle would transition to. Depending on the wing backs, it would be hard to break that down. When you have three center backs basically going at you, and just also too, Seattle are really tough to break down defensively. Like they are really well structured. They're always in a good shape defensively, and that's why we saw, like Micah mentioned, him dropping back in to try to open up some more space, maybe get a center back to follow him in to give space for Cabral to make a run and go out at that goal. But Seattle were really well structured. They were good when it came to not taking Chicharito's bait, and also he did the most he could do. He did miss on that cross from Julian Araujo, which was, I thought he should have put that in. I don't know if maybe the ball might have bounced before he struck that, and that kind of made it a little awkward, and that's why he missed. But overall, I thought he did his best for what he could do. You know, the team just needs to give him better service, and he drew a penalty, which is a good thing. And Sasha Kljestan put it in the back of the net.
Yeah, and I think the thing that he did right, he did draw that penalty. So I do have the penalty, and I want to play that.
Fisher gives the go-ahead. Here's Kljestan, steps into it with the right foot, scores! And the LA Galaxy take a 1-0 lead entering the 22nd minute of the contest. Sasha Kljestan from the spot.
I mean, Sasha Kljestan did what he did. I mentioned this yesterday, but when Chicharito drew that penalty, I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't think Chicharito should take this penalty. He's already missed a couple, and I think everybody was kind of relieved that Sasha Kljestan was taking it. I know he was asked after the game, and he said that Sasha was going to he asked Chicharito if he wanted to take it. But Chicharito deferred to Sasha Kljestan to take it, and that's a true leader right there. Knowing that, like, hey, I've already missed a couple. It might let's give someone else another opportunity. So I like that about Chicharito, that he doesn't always have to take, doesn't always have to be the one to score. And he also understands that, hey, maybe I'm not strong at penalties. Penalties may not be my thing. Maybe there's someone else on the team, and I worked to the benefit. Sasha Kljestan got them on top, and also kind of give them the momentum. Also gave Sasha Kljestan a little bit more of confidence and everything. But what are your thoughts on that, Micah? Letting Sasha take the penalty?
I don't have a problem with it. I think that as long as it goes in the back of the net, I don't care who takes it. But from a leadership point, that obviously shows that Chicharito cares about this team. He doesn't want to mess up, and I think it was a safe call. Hey, why not give it to Sasha Kljestan? Why not get him his second goal? And it definitely paid off. But on like a different point, who I want taking penalties, I don't know why he doesn't take it. I want Jonathan Dos Santos. I think that he took it in 2019 when Zlatan was out. I want him to take penalties.
He wasn't available for this game.
I know. Just taking in general. Whenever there's the next penalty, I want Jonathan Dos Santos because he usually scores them.
That totally makes sense. Alex, what were your thoughts on Sasha taking the penalty?
Yeah, I liked it from a leadership standpoint. Like Micah mentioned, Chicharito is just like humble enough to be like, hey, take this, and rightfully so. Chicharito doesn't have a good track record when it comes to penalty shots, so he made the wisest choice and letting somebody else take it. Like Micah mentioned, Jonathan Dos Santos is pretty good penalty taker from what I've seen with him and the Mexican national team, and also looking at some records when he was at if I'm correct, Villarreal for a little bit. He was really good from the penalty spot there for them. But I like that Chicharito was like, hey, I got to put this to a side. I at least drew the penalty. Let me give it to Kljestan, here. MLS veteran, he's been in the league for a while, so he can get his second goal. And just overall, I'm glad that, he had like I mentioned, the humbleness to do it, because I know if that was Zlatan, nobody's going there to challenge him and say, don't take it, Nobody's going to have the courage to tell him that. But with Chicharito, it's a different story, and I think that's a good thing to see, because like a lot of the other players have mentioned, when they were with Zlatan, they would get scared of him. Like they thought he was like not menacing, but like, for them, they were scared to mess up in front of him. They were scared to, kind of just be what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of be vulnerable with him, But with
Mhm.
Chicharito, obviously all he's talked about, mental health and stuff like that and everything, he advocates for. You see that, he wants to help this team improve. And I think that's a good sign to see when your star player basically say, hey, I'm going to take a back seat right here and I'll let you guys do your thing.
Yeah, no, that's what you want to see from your star player, and I don't think Zlatan ever missed a penalty for the Galaxy too. So,
Yeah, he never did.
yeah, so even if he made it miss one, it was never going to happen. But I think Chicharito's already missed two, and I don't think someone pull up a stat. He hasn't scored one since he hasn't made a penalty since 2014, I believe. So it's been a long. It's been a long time, but it's a great that the leader steps up and lets someone else decide to take the ball. But right before half, the Seattle Sounders get a corner kick. Initially, I don't know if you saw this on TV, Micah, but like initially, what live the ref called it. It was Galaxy ball. It was Galaxy ball. Jonathan Bond was ready to kick the ball, but then the ref went back and said it was a corner kick. And I thought initially it was going to be a corner kick, but it was weird for the referee just to switch his call. Did you notice that, Alex?
Yeah, I was watching with my dad, and we're like, all right, he's because my dad comes with me to all the matches. We kind of just spend our time there, and we were like, all right, Jonathan Bond's gonna kick it out. And I think if I'm correct, I don't remember which player it was. I think it might have been Rui Diaz, but I think he kind of jumped into the same area as Jonathan Bond when he went to go up to get the ball, and that kind of caused him to lose his balance, and that's why it became a corner kick. So I felt that was kind of unfair because the player is interfering in that moment, and it's not like no player or person I think can recover their balance and go back like that. So I thought that was a really weird call. I didn't like it, but hey, that's how the game went. So I can't really complain about it anymore.
Micah, did you notice that? Did you notice that while watching the game at home or no?
Yeah, you can just go back to my Instagram story. I was so frustrated. I was, I hate when referees they change their mind, because I think that is basically off of the players, and you could see the Seattle players, they were surrounding the referee, fighting for that corner kick, and it's just one of those things that you can't let players really dictate what your call is going to be. And yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, and I got the corner kick play. I'm gonna play it here, but G-Man in the chat, he says, "Correction, Zlatan did miss a penalty. However, he scored off the deflection from the goalie." So I think I do remember now. But nevertheless, I think he was always going to take him. So here
he still scored. That's what matters.
Yeah, I was going to say that he still scored. That's the main thing. So here is Seattle's first goal.
That's had a big impact on the scoreline, so it'll become the story.
Paulo, another good delivery, header on target. Sounders a level. João Paulo's delivery has been superb this season, and Yemo with an absolute bullet has brought Seattle back to 1-1.
So I mean, this replay doesn't really show it, but like Yemo just came out wide open, and I think there was like a mix up there. I think Leggett was the one that was kind of caught off with the play, and he was left wide open, and he ended up scoring a header. Michael, what were your thoughts on this play and Seattle Sounders scoring?
Yeah, and I was caught out of nowhere because the Galaxy rarely let in goals off of set pieces. So when the ball came in and it was heading the back of the net, I was like, oh great, now we're tied. I think Kobe was the one who said that nobody marked him, that the guy just ran free into the penalty spot. And it's one of those things you need to clean up, but it's better than a goal that just is when a player dribbles through your whole team. So I can't be mad at it, but I can be mad at it, but it's 1-1. It's a game.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the frustration is that if they would have marked them, it would have been different right before half. That probably the score obviously would have been different. Alex, what were your thoughts on that play?
Honestly, it really shouldn't have happened, to be honest, and that's the thing about it. Obviously, this game really did change the game and momentum for the Sounders. They tied up the game going 1-1 into the half. LA Galaxy were definitely the better team in the half, making a decent load of chances, and just also we're looking dangerous. Like hey, we might get a 3-0 win this time. But unfortunately, with that goal, that changed the momentum, and then 4 minutes into the second half, Rui Diaz gets the second goal of the game, and that's the game-winning goal for the Seattle Sounders. So it just really frustrates me that the prior situation and the context of this corner is really what provoked this goal. And that's the frustrating thing. Like Micah said, I just don't like it when referees, change their mind. You got to be assertive of your call the whole time, because, if you're able to change calls like that, no one's going to take you seriously as a referee. They're always going to go up to you and, reclaim stuff and think that you're going to overturn the previous call. But it was frustrating to see, me and my dad were like, this goal shouldn't have even happened, but unfortunately, it did. And ultimately it was a turning point of the game for the Seattle Sounders.
Yeah, it was, because there was a couple of shots even before the game. I think Christian Roldan had a couple of shots, but Jonathan Bond was there. I think Jonathan Bond had like another save early in the first half. But he obviously he did his job. But I mean, there's nothing he can do when a player is wide open like this, right? And he just scores the ball. And I think for the Galaxy is like, you don't want to give up a goal. You just don't want to give up a goal anytime, but also on the set piece, which was unfortunate just going into a half. And I think that's what maybe kind of stung a little bit, because Seattle did a great job with the movement on the set piece, and you just kind of see. I think we really got to see, if people didn't already know this, but you got to see the maturity of the Seattle Sounders and what a collective unit looks like. They understand what they need to do. They understand how to make the game ugly, and they understand that they need to win this close game and how to win a close game. And I think, the Galaxy really noticed that. And I think, going into this game, I think we also realized that. And I already knew that about the Sounders, but they really kind of put on a performance of showing like, hey, we are the Seattle Sounders. And this game wasn't easy for them, but they won a tough game. And to your point, Alex, to start the second half, and I think what was like 4 minutes in, they come back and they started off. So I got the second goal, and then we'll get into it.
A long throw weapon with Kellen Rowe. And a header clear from the pew. Not fully clear though. Alex Roldan back for Kellen Rowe. Back to Alex Roldan. Gets his cross in. Yemo with the play. Christian Roldan. Rui Diaz is on hand. And he prods that one home. The predatory instincts of Raul Rui Diaz. And he struck to put the Sounders in front. 2-1.
So that was obviously the game-winning goal. Raul Rui Diaz is doing what he does best there, just finding in there and getting tough. And obviously, I mean, Jonathan Bond, should he caught that? Yeah, maybe he should have caught that. Maybe it's a tough ball. He just reacted, so he got on hand on it. He initially got the first save. But I think that whole play leading up, it was off a throw-in, but it was also, I would call that, in my mind, it kind of like a set piece, right? Because you can run a play and everything like that. And how easy they were, I wouldn't say easy, but how they were able to get the ball through the defense like that. It was just like, I was just kind of surprised, because I was like, man, the game just started, and then they get a goal right away. Micah, what were your thoughts on that play?
I say this all the time, but the Galaxy don't get anything easy. We don't get a lucky goal like that. We don't get the ball deflecting where anyone can just tap it in. And then the ball and the throw-in, it all happened so fast. I was surprised it didn't score in the first time, so give credit to Jonathan Bond. I thought he made a great save there. It was just unlucky that it overflowed to Robert Diaz, who puts it away. But that obviously, it changed the complexion of the game. I could tell, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but from the broadcast, it seemed like the stadium was a little more quiet because the other team took the lead. So it obviously was a letdown because you blew that 1-0 lead you had earlier. So it's demoralizing. That's what it seemed like.
Alex, give us your thoughts on that play.
This was actually really interesting and kind of funny because me and my dad, we love to just talk while we watch the game, kind of like we're at home, But instead of here, my dad was pointing, I was like, watch out for Rui Diaz. He always finds a way to get behind the defenders. They turn around, they won't see him. And then like 30 seconds later, he scores a goal. And exactly like my dad mentioned, getting behind the defenders and basically kind of, moving into those spaces, a Chicharito-esque type goal, getting kind of that tap in. And I don't really blame this too much on the Galaxy defense, but more just the player that is Raul Rui Diaz. He's a smart, intelligent player when it comes to his runs. Jonathan Bond made a good save there initially, but just the reaction time of the Galaxy just wasn't there. And it was there for Raul Ruiz, who, is a great striker, arguably probably one of arguably the best striker in MLS, So I think Seattle did really good in their play to get that goal, breaking down that defense, and then Ruiz is just there to, pounce on the ball, and that's a game-winning goal.
Yeah, game-winning goal, and I think he just tied Chicharito for the Golden Boot race. So what is it, 7 now? They're
both have 7.
So, and that's the type of goal that Chicharito tends to score, and that's the type of goals that, Raul Ruiz tends to score. So it's like, and I'm with you, it's more on the effort of Raul Ruiz because he is determined to score. He was determined. I know I had Nico, who covers the Seattle Sounders, he's like, watch out for Raul Ruiz. If you already didn't know, right? But he said he was extra motivated. One, because he didn't get called up for Copa America for Peru for whatever reason. And 2, he also mentioned that he's coming for the Golden Boot. So it's tough competition, but obviously he showed up and scored in this big game for them. I think for me, when that happens, I was just like, okay, look, they scored. It was early enough. How does the Galaxy bounce back into this game? Right? How are you going to come? What are the substitutions? Because I was expecting substitutions. Unfortunately, the substitutions did not happen. Typically when we're used to from Greg Vanney, around the 60th, 65th minute. I thought that was interesting because I was surprised by that. Micah, give me your thoughts on Greg Vanney and the late substitutions that he did.
Yeah, Greg Vanney, he definitely needed to make substitutions quicker. I don't think that anybody's gonna disagree with that. And after that, I would have brought on Grancier. I would have brought on Zubac, because those players in the past have changed the complexion of this game in almost an instant with Miami and then San Jose. But it's definitely, I don't know if it's a question, but it's just like Greg Vanney, you have to learn how to make those adjustments, and we've seen him do that. So why didn't he do it here? And so I don't know. It confused me. Yeah, no,
it was very confusing. I think either he got too into the game, or I know after the game he said that the guys were having a great run. I think he was talking about Efra and them. He mentioned that they were doing a great job. That he wanted to leave them in there a little bit more. But I think outside looking in, right, you could tell they needed a sub, and they needed a sub a lot sooner. Alex, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, it's something that, under Guillermo Barcelotto would be really criticized, his late substitution into the 85th minute, making basically the players can't get into a rhythm of the game and can not really make an impact within that limited time. I thought maybe, obviously Daniel Steres had to get subbed off because he was injured. I understand that, you could put in Adam Saldana in for Sebastian Lletget. I thought Lletget kind of had some fatigue in his legs, obviously participating in the Nations League and, playing in the friendlies for the USMNT. I thought Saldana could have brought something else off the bench. I thought he played well off the bench against San Jose. Micah mentioned Grancier and Zubac both have made impacts in the past this year. Grancier forced the own goal, and Zubac, obviously in the opening match, really opened up the game a lot more for Chicharito. And, understandably so, you want to keep some of the players who are doing well and who you want to get into a rhythm, because this is going to be kind of a 3-game stretch for the Galaxy in 1 week. So you kind of do want to keep some of the players in the rhythm. But I thought it was kind of questionable too, because you also want to make sure that, they're not too fatigued when it comes to Wednesday's match as well. I would have put in a sub maybe around the 70th minute, probably earliest, maybe like 65th, just to get somebody else running around. Grancier didn't have enough time to make an impact, even though he did have that one chance later on in the match. But unfortunately, I think just Greg Vanney loves to overthink when it comes to facing Seattle, and just Brian Schmetzer in general. He has that history with the Seattle Sounders when he was the coach of Toronto, facing off 3 times in the MLS Cup final, and Schmetzer, I would say, has gotten the best of him, even if Vanney had won that one title with Toronto. I just think, kind of like how Pep Guardiola does in big games, just likes to experiment too much and see if this will work or not. But ultimately, I think, we'll go back to seeing the regular formation. I just think Vanney's just kind of like that when it comes to Brian Schmetzer and the Seattle Sounders.
Look at you comparing Greg Vanney to Pep Guardiola.
Pep Guardiola.
This is where people either tune in or turn it up. turn up if they're listening to the podcast. No, I'm with you. I think Greg Vanney does tend to sometimes overthink his lineups with the against the Seattle Sounders. He's done it 2 times. Maybe because he doesn't want Smetcher to necessarily game plan. But to me, it was like I didn't see the second half adjustments. Like switch up the lineup. Hey, let's put Kevin Cabral out wide. Let's take Efron out. Let's put Victor Vasquez in the middle. Right. Let's go with the the 4-3-2-1 or the type of lineup we're used to, and bringing Zubac in. But the first sub didn't come into what was it, the 79th minute. Efrain Alvarez was subbed out for Samuel Grandsir. So I felt like that was a little too late. And then, then you bring Ethan Zubac in the 90th minute for legit, and then Cameron Dunbar in the 90th minute, 91st. So it's like, there's no impact those guys can have. You know what I'm saying? There's literally no impact they can have when we're so used to Greg Vanney doing the substitutions, switching formation at halftime, or, in the 60th minute, switching. And we didn't really see that this game. Maybe he really felt like what they were doing was working. I feel like it was to the first half, but the second half was a different game once you go down 2-1, and I think those subs needed to come back, needed to come in sooner. You needed to have different blood. Samuel Grandsir, he was getting on a roll. Right after the San Jose Earthquakes game, obviously he was able to score or create that chance to score for that, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. And I think, moving forward, I think I haven't looked far down the schedule. I don't know if they play them again, but I think that this is what I'm gonna see how Greg Vanney goes moving forward. Because if you want to win a championship like they've talked about, Seattle Sounders is a team to beat in the Western Conference. There's no doubt about that. It's becoming more and more clear. But I think sometimes when you face a team like this, you got to have your best weapons. And on top of that, Kevin Cabral didn't even show up. And I think part of that was on the second half was because he was out of position. He needs to be a winger, and I felt like that kind of hurt the Galaxy, because you didn't get the versatility or the explosiveness of Kevin Cabral and what you expected to impact the game. And I think it got just a little tricky. But before we get into more of the game, I do want to talk about a positive in this game, which was Julian Araujo. Micah, give me your thoughts on Julian Araujo and the game he had.
Yeah, Julian Araujo, ever since the first 2 or 3 games, he's really stepped up his game big time. And you could just see him in this game terrorizing that whole left side that was coming down by Seattle. It was good to watch. You knew that nothing was going to get by that side. But Julian Araujo, what a great performance he had. And it makes you wonder, hey, is that Premier League team going to be searching for Julian Araujo this summer? Did his value go up in the national team? And Julian Araujo, he's just turned into such a great right back in this league, and definitely he's going to have a bright future for whichever team he goes to.
Yeah, no, it was amazing to see his runs, him getting, to the open field and, being an attacker, picking his spots a lot better. Alex, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, Julian Araujo has just matured so much as a player, obviously seeing him, kind of deal with the disappointment of not qualifying for the Olympics with the U.S., kind of took a toll on him in the first couple of games. Against New York, he wasn't sharp, and then, picked it up against LAFC where they really needed him. And he ultimately, I think, was the reason why the Galaxy were able to win out that game and just not allow LAFC to be dangerous for most of the half of the second half. But yeah, like Micah said, teams from Europe are going to look at this. He's talking about, teams are looking at me, I don't know about the national team because there's a load of right backs for them. You have Serginho Dest, Reggie Cannon, DeAndre Yedlin. Julian Araujo is probably like the 4th or 5th best right back, so there's competition there as well. But ultimately, I think he probably will get a move to Europe soon. I'm pretty sure if it's not this summer, definitely next summer. But yeah, just like I mentioned, in the articles that I've written for LA Soccer Hub, appreciate him while he's here. He's got a bright future ahead of him for sure, and you can see it in the maturity of his play and just him as a person as well. He's got a bright future ahead, and I just can't wait to see what he can do.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you. I love his game, and I think we're seeing Julian Araujo's game mature. We're seeing, because we know the defensive things were there. The physicality was there. I think just to me, just some of the offensive things and how he's able to beat defenders, how he's able to get those cross, right? The first cross that Chicharito hit off the crossbar was because he was the one that ended up passing the ball in. And I think, I think he's learned a lot more through Greg Vanney and the coaching staff. And I think Greg Vanney had talked about that, like teaching him when to pick his spots, when to go up and stuff. When I see in this game, obviously against the best team in MLS, you really got. I feel like I really got to see Julian Araujo understand the game a lot better. Like the game started to slow down for him a little bit better. Understand? Okay, I know Chicho wants the ball here. I know if I cross this, you're starting to see that and. To the point, obviously, teams are looking at him. Obviously, he should get to move to Europe. I don't know if it will happen this summer. I know I was talking with the guys yesterday. I don't know if that happened. I know they do got O'Neal Fisher if that does happen. But I think there is if he is to finish out the season with the LA Galaxy, I think it's only going to help him. I think if he is able to finish out the season with the Galaxy and where he ends up moving either – if it happens now, which I don't sense that happening right now, but if it happens, I think maybe at the end of the year, I think it really help him out because you're seeing him mature, you're seeing him grow, you're seeing him that, and I think he needs maybe this one more full season with the LA Galaxy to get more assists and get more experience, and then bam, you make the jump over.
I think it'll kind of be like how Alphonso Davies had him when he went to Bayern. They made him stay for the rest of the year, one more season, and then he transferred over to Bayern. I don't want to get the Araujo Alphonso Davies comparisons going, but that I feel like that move there would work for not only the Galaxy but also Araujo as well. Just so he can concentrate on one thing, and then once that's done, just concentrate on going to Europe. I think that's makes the logical sense for the Galaxy if they do end up getting into negotiations with other clubs in Europe. That's the deal that they should be approaching with.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna hit on that point too. And we've seen that from a number of MLS players now. Like hey, I think Brendan Aronson had a similar deal. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I like that. Like, hey, he's gonna come to wherever he goes to, but he can finish out the year with the LA Galaxy, and after the season, he ends up moving, which is great. And I think that's what I think the Galaxy should pursue if that's an option for them and for Julian Araujo. Quickly in the chat, G-Man says that Victor Vasquez did compare Greg Vanney to Pep Guardiola. He did it during the Galaxy guys interview. So, hey, there you go, Alex.
He did play under Guardiola, so I mean, yeah, he could kind of can do that, especially when he played with both.
He can say he definitely can say that. And then look, there's definitely fair to say. Another defender that played pretty good was Sega Koulibaly. Micah, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, coming in this game, you don't know how Sega's going to react to debuting in MLS versus MLS attackers. But I thought he did a fairly good job. He didn't make any big blunders. But I think it was similar to how Derek Williams debuted in Seattle. It wasn't like a great performance, but it was a good enough performance to get you through a game. And he didn't have a bad game at all. I'm not trying to say that. But there are some things that he needs to work at. I think he struggled whenever the balls would come in. Him and Depew, I don't know if it was communication issues, but like they always seemed like they were hesitating when like who's gonna head the ball out and who's gonna react first to that ball. So Sega, he had a really good debut. Don't get that wrong. He's gonna be a great tool in the future, but I don't know if it's the chemistry with him and Depew. He just needs a partner who's strong. So I'm looking forward to that. Derek Williams, Sega Koulibaly, whenever they get back, they're going to be a dangerous duo.
Yeah, I mean he's a big physical body, and I think he had a pretty solid game for being his first game, and especially against the Seattle Sounders. I think if there is some mix-ups, there's some communication. He's only had a few weeks with the team, but what I saw on the field, I really liked. He was another player that really stood out for me and his performance and how he was able. He even got into the attack a couple of times too. We got to see how versatile he could really be. Oh yeah, Alex, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, for the whole game, I was really paying attention to Sega Koulibaly. I had a good view. In the second half of the defensive shaping, Gio, just like you mentioned right now, him going into the attack, yeah, he'd love to do that. I remember, it'd be him and Leggett kind of switching places. Leggett would come back and cover for him, be next to Depew to be kind of like that second center back as Koulibaly would go up. Koulibaly was asking for the ball, like I would say a decent amount. He looked comfortable with the ball at his feet, and that's something that I really like, especially if the team really wants to just keep focusing on playing out of the back, because Bond, Williams, and Koulibaly are all really good players with their feet, and that's what you want to see. With the new players that we brought in, and especially just the way that soccer's moving in general. You're seeing a lot of the top clubs in Europe and around the world really just start playing out of the back, and I think this trend's probably continue and into MLS as well. And overall, I thought he was good. He's physical as well. That late, he had a late foul on Will Bruin. I thought Will Bruin was soft in selling it. He just put in his body, shielding the ball, and Will Bruin was just diving out there, like a crazy person. But overall, there's still improvement. Obviously needs to work on aerial ability. Like Micah mentioned, I think there was a hesitancy between Depew and Koulibaly. Both are, he wasn't meant to play it with Nick Depew. Daniel Sturridge was supposed to be there, and obviously Koulibaly didn't know to step up in the moment or not. So I kind of understand about that. He's a big dude. I think later on, the Sounders had a chance, but Koulibaly was able to deflect the ball out and kind of just helped out on that end of the floor. So it was really good to see. And just like Micah said, nothing to knock your socks off, but it's a good start, and it looks like he's got a bright future ahead with the Galaxy. And, everything you wanted to see in Sega Koulibaly, you saw on Saturday night.
Yeah, no, you definitely did. And I think it's only going to get better for that. It's going to be a quick turnaround because they're here Wednesday. But before we get to Wednesday's game, I want to talk about looks like Ryan Ralverson is a tongue twister. It looks like he's been able to secure his visa. There was an Instagram post. I think some of you guys posted it on there. Well, there was his agent. I don't know who the guy was, but like he's looked like he's secured his visa. And he also was posted with the number 6 jersey. So he's going to be wearing the number 6 jersey for the LA Galaxy. So I expect he would be with the team by the end of the week, potentially. So that's going to be good. You got your defensive midfielder right there. And I think that's what the Galaxy, adding another piece. It looks like, the Galaxy adding more and more pieces. Now you just got to get them all together. Micah, what are your thoughts on that news?
Obviously it's great news that he's in the country finally, or not in the country, but he's secured his visa required to enter the country. So that's good news for all Galaxy fans. But I'm really excited to see him on the field. I don't know if next weekend is in the realm of possibilities, but we obviously need depth in that midfield, and we want him to be that center defensive midfielder that we've been looking for. So really just good news. Raveloson is kind of like, is he going to adapt to the physicality? Because all those French additions that they've added, they haven't really adapted well to the physicality of MLS. We talk about Grandsir and Cabral. So I hope Raveloson really embraces that, really is physical, really isn't afraid to foul, commit serious fouls. And I can't wait to see him on the field because we're going to need him.
Yeah, definitely need that. And you make a great point because I would say Sega is probably the only one that's shown. I mean, he has a bigger body than over Samuel Grandsir and Kevin Cabral. But yeah, I think you wanted us defensive midfield that it's going to be very aggressive. But that's yet to be seen. But Alex, what are your thoughts on this news?
Yeah, I like to see it. Obviously, with COVID and everything, just this whole process of getting your visa, it's taking a really long time. And, we saw that with Kevin Cabral. Samuel Grandsir, we didn't see as much because he was signed earlier in the year. With Kevin Cabral, you did see it. It took a while to get here. And then now with Sega Koulibaly, I think he was announced probably maybe a month and a half ago. And now he's finally here, So I'm glad to see Revelson has finally, got his visa, got his number. And I'm just excited to see him soon. Hopefully, like Micah said, this upcoming weekend, maybe he makes an appearance, whether it be starting or off the bench, But I'm excited to see him. I used to play defensive midfielder when I played in AYSO. And I can tell you it's a really tough job, just trying to figure out, do I do this tackle here, there? Where do you want to be when it comes to the build-up play of the game? So I think he's going to be an essential piece of the Galaxy. Really want to make a good playoff run.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be interesting. We have a great question. G-Man just dropped a great question here. I'll pass this to you, Micah, first. He says, "Do you guys think the Frenchies are underestimating the MLS rather than not being able to handle the physicality?" And then he adds, "Higuain thought he could come to the MLS with a cigarette in his mouth." It's true.
Um, to answer that question, I don't think they've underestimated it. I think that if you talk to most European players, they think that MLS is a very important league. It's very difficult, and they're willing to admit that. You saw Higuain come out the other day, of course. Cabral, I don't think that Cabral, Granciera, all those additions, I don't think they've underestimated it. I think they've just kind of, they haven't been ready as they should be. Cabral, everyone likes to compare him to Christian Pavone. He's not Christian Pavone, but Pavone, he made an immediate impact. He was used to that physicality. So, maybe there is something there to that. Maybe they do underestimate it, but they, it's really difficult for a player to adapt. And I completely understand both sides, whether they're a Pavone who just jumps in or whether they're a Cabral and Granciera who just takes their time to adapt to the physicality.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I think it's never. I don't think anybody should ever compare Cabral to Pavone because they're two different players, and obviously one's a little bit more experienced. But Alex, what are your thoughts on the question? Do you think they're underestimating the physicality?
I wouldn't say so. They're underestimating. The biggest difference between all the Frenchies that the Galaxy have and Gonzalo Higuain is that Higuain, was a big name in world football. Everybody knew Higuain from whether it be Napoli, Real Madrid, and even Juventus. He had that pedigree of being a top striker in Europe. And obviously, kind of when you're elevated to that status and you're seen as one of the top strikers in your country and in Europe, you're kind of gonna have that ego when it comes to going to MLS. Which kind of like unfortunately has been dubbed that kind of retirement league, kind of like the Chinese Super League a bit as well, especially since they are getting a lot of older players as well. And I think the Frenchies on the Galaxy, they're willing to prove, because they haven't proven much yet. They came from the second division of France. Not much people, unfortunately, are paying attention to the second division of France. They want to come here to MLS. This is their chance to get quality minutes. Grandier couldn't get that when he was at Monaco. That's why he was constantly being loaned out to other clubs. And now that he's, a starter, he started off the season as a starter for the Galaxy. He's got to take on that challenge now. And I feel like he's still trying to adapt to that because he hasn't really been used to that being at the club that he was with. Monaco, they kept loaning him out, trying to get him minutes. But now with the Galaxy, he's definitely a starter, and he is that starter caliber talent on the Galaxy. Cabral as well is really young, and I don't understand why people compare him and Christian Pavone. They're two different players. They came from two different countries that play football in two different ways. Stop comparing those two together. It just doesn't go well. And with Cabral, he's still obviously, couldn't prove it because he was playing out of position. But I thought, when he was in position as a winger, he proved that, hey, I can go by defenders and I can do my thing. Obviously, Koulibaly, is a big dude. He can get physical, and the jury's still out on him yet. I don't think we can really make a decisive decision on whether he's been good or bad, just because, he's only played 90 minutes. He's only played one game. And obviously still with Revelson, we'll have to see how that goes. But I think the Frenchies from the Galaxy don't really have an ego like Higuain did when they come to MLS. I feel like they're more ready to kind of just prove it. And I think that's their mentality more over an Higuain who was an established striker in the world soccer.
Yeah, no, I mean, very, very, very great points there, and great question by G-Man. And I'm with you. I think Higuain is a different story because he was a superstar at one point, right? A striker. Kevin Cabral, he's still young, and I think on top of that, he hasn't been a year in like Higuain has been with Inter Miami, right? To really understand, he's only been here a couple weeks, right? So to me, I know they haven't really scored. They haven't scored, right? But I think it's still too early because and I know everybody wants results now. I'm on the same mindset, but I think you got to give these players a little bit more because these guys don't even talk English, right? They're still getting adjusted to that, and I'm not trying to make that an excuse, but I think you still got to be a little bit more patient with those guys because they're still young, and it doesn't look bad. It's not with them that they're like, oh man, he really cost us a game, or like, you know what I'm saying? It's more of like, okay, we see that it's there. Maybe Greg Vanney put Cabral out of position, and Vanney probably didn't put Greg Grandsir in enough. He should have probably subbed him in a lot earlier. He probably should have, if it was Efra, he should have subbed out Efrain a lot earlier, and actually let Grandsir get adjusted to the game, and be more of an impact. I think it's more on that in this game. And I think it was more a little bit of Greg Vanney overthinking it, because I think if we would have had Cabral on the left side, right, we can just talk about that. You would have saw a different side of Cabral. You would have saw him, he wouldn't have to go up with the center backs essentially every single time, right? He would be able to be out on the wing and win that game. He does it. Maybe you don't need to be as physical as a wing. You don't need to be. You just got to be quick and be able to be versatile and stuff like that. But unfortunately, Kevin Cabral wasn't able to see that. Wasn't able to do that. And another side, Grandsir wasn't able to impact the game. It's kind of hard to impact the game when you only got 10 minutes, right? It's really hard. And yeah, no one should ever compare Pavone to Kevin Cabral. No one should ever do that. Pavone is Pavone. Pavone is a world-class player. You got to play in Argentina. He's playing with Boca Juniors. I would, he's a superstar when it comes to the MLS. But unfortunately, those comparisons shouldn't be there. Two different players, like you said, Alex. Two different countries and two different playing styles. But I think Cabral can be an effective winger to this team. It's just going to take a little bit more time. But if you're trying to win a championship, it has to happen a lot sooner. And I think it can, and I think it will happen. I think give it a couple more games. Right now, it was a tough loss, but it was never like, oh yeah, they were completely out of this game. They didn't have a single shot like the first game. It was just that tactically, Brian Schmetzer just did a little bit more than unfortunately Greg Vanney, and just came down to a couple. It came down to Rui Diaz just wanting the ball a little bit more and being that's essentially what it came down to. But tough loss, but I think also that you got to learn a lot. And I want to play this clip from Chicharito after the game.
No, a lot. I mean, I'm very disappointed, and we all should be, but I think, it doesn't matter what I'm going to say because we lost in the end, but I think we were a much better team. We had more chances. We controlled better the team. And then in 2-3 set pieces, we saw the rep one that Bundy saved as well. It was a set piece. The only thing we need to improve is experience. Experience comes with time, so we cannot improve that because there's a lot of players that are playing first, second seasons, third seasons in the MLS. So we all need to grow. We all need to improve. That's clear. But well, that's the best thing that Seattle has. That is the experience. That they know the IQ about the game, how to take advantage, how create spaces, time. You can see how many fouls the referee give them. Apart from my point of view, they are not fouls, but they're experienced. So we all need to improve that. We all need to know how to manage the games, because at least a draw over here will be fine, And then in 2 set pieces, when we lost a little bit of focus, we just give the game away.
Taking steps in the right direction. But lastly, how did it feel to play in front of this crowd tonight?
Amazing. No.
So I didn't mean to cut that in your shirt, but I think he made it great. Chicharito made a great point. He understood that the Sounders are a mature team, and he says, he talks about players are playing their first season. To the question that was asked, Cabral's saying they're playing their first seasons, so they also understand that you look at a finished product essentially with the Seattle Sounders, right? The Galaxy can get there, but if they want to get there this year, a lot of things are going to have to happen. But I thought it was great, Chicharito addressing that and saying that, because he realized look, this is the better team. They are a better team. They know how to manage the game. They know how to do a couple different things. But I don't know. I just really like that, because he obviously is upset, but he understands that hey, we got a little bit long ways to go. But Michael, what were your thoughts on Chicharito there?
Yeah, and if you couldn't get behind Chicharito, that is exactly why you should. He was very motivational, of course. He is after every Galaxy game. Javier Hernandez is a great role model, and I think people should look up to him. He's definitely humbled himself after a terrible season, and he's speaking the truth about this Galaxy team, because he sees this team at the lowest last year, and now we see them at we're going to see them at the highest soon, hopefully. But definitely the Galaxy are getting there, and Chicharito understands the process. And he's talking about that, and that's very important.
Yeah, Alex, give me your thoughts on what you heard from Chicharito there.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything he said. Seattle, when it comes to all of MLS, Seattle is the bar. when you're talking about what kind of expectations, what you want to see from your team if you want to be successful, because this team is, has been contenders for MLS Cup for like past 4 or 5 years, right? They're experienced, very well coached, well structured, they do their job well, and that's what matters. And Chicharito mentions too, most of these guys aren't in their first year yet. They're starting to learn that structure barely and barely. It takes time for them to get, engraved into their heads. Obviously, some players like Cabral, Grandier, aren't too fluent in the language yet, so they're also, learning, taking on that challenge as well. So I'm going to be patient with this team. Obviously, people are very impatient. They want to see results now. We saw that with Chicharito when he got off to that really, really hot start. People were excited. Now that he's cooled down, it's normal. Strikers aren't going to score every game. Like Robert Lewandowski's had a good year, but he hasn't scored in every single game, for Bayern Munich this year. People just got to be patient with this team. Vanning's still trying to figure things out. We still have another player on the way. We just got a new player into the lineup this past weekend. So there's a lot of waiting that needs to be done with this team. And Chicharito wisely says, we just need experience. And that's really what the Galaxy are lacking compared to all the other teams, top teams in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and great point. There's nothing you can speed up. You can't speed up experience. It just happens with time, right? So it's gonna take a little bit more time. But yeah, I mean, I think we could definitely hit on everything. Just final point. Obviously, the Galaxy traveled to Rio Tinto Stadium. They're playing Salt Lake, the Vancouver Whitecaps on Wednesday. So that the Wednesday games are starting to pop up now. Obviously, it's a very winnable game for the other Galaxy. For them to get the 3 points. What are your thoughts on going into this game, Micah?
Yeah, going to Vancouver, going to Rio Tinto, it's never easy because those teams play the Galaxy always very hard. So your expectations for this upcoming game and next weekend should be 6 points, but I don't think that's going to be happening. I don't think the Galaxy are going to do bad, but I don't think they're going to do that good. So 4 points I think is reasonable. You're talking about specifically Vancouver.
Well, it's one game.
Oh,
Whitecaps.
yeah.
The Whitecaps are playing. I didn't mean to confuse you. They're playing at Rio Tinto Stadium. I think they're playing at RSL.
Yeah, I get that. So prediction? You want a prediction or no?
Yeah, prediction. Are they going to win or no?
On a good day, yes, the Galaxy will win. But knowing the Galaxy, they will tie. Tie on the road. It'll be a boring game. I'm not gonna go bold predictions anymore.
Okay. There's nothing wrong. If that's what your gut's telling you, that there's nothing wrong with that. Alex, what are your thoughts on this game and prediction?
Vancouver right now in a really bad run of form. Gave up 2 goals in extra time. Lost against, if I'm correct, who did they lose to? Was it Real Salt Lake? I'm not sure who they played. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But what's it called? I think the Galaxy, this is perfect time for them to bounce back and perfect time to really kind of just, put themselves back into, being a top 3 team in the Western Conference at the moment. So I can see them winning 2-0 easily.
Yeah, I think this is a very winnable game for the LA Galaxy. Grandier didn't get to play that much. I mean, you're gonna have some fresh legs, so you're also gonna want to rotate a lot of players because you also got a game this coming weekend as well. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday. We expect a good game from the LA Galaxy. So guys, that's gonna wrap things up for us. Thank you for everybody that tuned in, and everybody that commented on the chat. So, Micah, let the people know where they can follow you.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Everything LA Galaxy. I'll respond to anything you tell me.
Anything positive, right?
Anything positive.
Alex, let the people know where they can follow you.
At Total LA Galaxy on Instagram and Twitter. We get very active, giving you guys the best and just earliest news that we can surrounding the Galaxy, and also 2 ex-players as well, and just obviously, you fans as well, letting you guys know information for, like tailgates and all that stuff as well. So follow us. We're really active and post stuff on our stories a lot. So you're definitely going to be getting that coverage like it's being catered to you on your Instagram feed. So follow us at Total LA Galaxy.
And Alex, you also started writing articles for us, covering the Galaxy.
Yeah, I started covering the Galaxy for LA Soccer Hub. Really excited about it. I just love writing, and especially when it comes to my favorite team. I'm not. It's not something I dread. It's something I enjoy. So I'm glad I have this opportunity to just write. So yeah, just visit lasoccerhub.com. You guys can keep up with just game reviews, previews, opinion pieces about the LA Galaxy, everything you guys want about the LA Galaxy. You want to read, whether it be you sitting on the toilet or just you chilling on the couch. There's gonna be some content for you to read on lasoccerhub.com.
Yeah, no. So Alex doing a great job. He's right now writing all the articles for out in the LA Galaxy tab. So definitely give it a read, guys. If you guys listen to the podcast, make sure to join us on Monday nights at 7 p.m. We go for about an hour. We went over a little bit today, but yeah, if you guys want to join us here on the live stream, you can hop on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Join us here on LA Soccer Hub. And if you guys want to follow me, you guys can follow me at Gio Garcia LA on Twitter. So that's gonna wrap things up. Appreciate you, fellas. Thank you for being on. Got a young crew, but they definitely know their stuff. So for Micah and Alex, this is Gio. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye, everybody.